In Chapter 7, you explored the cognitive processing framework. This framework explains the way the mind works as people engage in complex thought. Many cognitive scientists have focused this theory specifically on reading, which is our focus as future literacy specialists. One such theorist is S. J. Samuels. Samuels went to UCLA, taught at Queens College, and is currently on the staff at the University of Minnesota. He is literally known coast to coast, you could say. There are numerous works in which he has made contributions, from his most recent edition of What Research Has to Say About Reading Instruction and one on vocabulary instruction. Articles published in The Reading Teacher, Research Quarterly, Journal of College Reading and Learning, and contributed to the National Reading Panel Report. Referring back to our first two modules, stop and jot. How do these two illustrations represent a bottom-up model and a top-down model? Samuel's overall philosophy is a bottom-up model, as he gives much of his attention on, well, attention. In the 1970s, the automatic information processing model began popping up throughout reading methods texts. In this article, Toward a Theory in Information Processing in Reading from 1974, LaBerge and Samuels coined this concept called automatic information processing, or what you may know as automaticity. LaBerge and Samuels explained 5 major components to this model. The visual memory is where graphic input from the text is processed, such as letter identification of lines, curves, and angles. This information is processed in phonological memory, where sounds are connected to the visual images. Episodic memory follows, in which the context that surrounds the target information is recorded. Then semantic memory stores any other kinds of knowledge. Finally, attention occurs in 2 forms. One is the observable external attention. An example of this would be how I use "give me 5" in my classroom. Legs are crossed, hands are still, ears are listening, eyes are watching, lips are zipped, and this gets my students to pay attention. The second is the unobservable internal attention, which is what's happening inside the reader's mind. This includes 3 subcomponents: alertness, how active the reader is trying to decode the text; selectivity, deciphering and deciding what to attend to; and limited capacity, the reader's limit on attending to a given task. As computers were beginning their debut during this time period, this theory was often compared to early computers in that visual input, such as letters, sequentially enters the reader's mind. The human mind and computers are excellent at multitasking, but the mind and the computer have a limited capacity available, so attention will shift from one job to another. If one job requires a large portion of the available attention, then capacity for another job is limited. Like computers, readers have a limited ability to shift attention between the processes of decoding and comprehending. If a reader's attention is mostly focused on decoding the text, they will not be able to focus on the job of comprehending. To help us visualize this next task, I've included Calvin and Hobbes, my personal favorite philosophers on life. Think about how learning to ride a bike can help you make a connection to this theory. The reader who struggles with decoding gives most of his or her attention to sounding out words and using phonics strategies. This leaves little processing power left to comprehend the text, and just like an overloaded computer, the child will crash. However, a child who has mastered riding a bike can attend to other things, like talking to a friend, avoiding that pothole, or even chewing gum at the same time. In the same aspect, fluent readers can automatically focus on comprehending the text because decoding no longer demands the majority of the attention capacity. When learning to ride a bike, there's a lot to think about: balancing, turning the handlebars, and direction, and steering. How is learning to read like learning to ride a bike? Use the link provided at the bottom of the slide to add to our Storm board. A compare and contrast graphic organizer's been selected. You will need to sign in or log in with a Google account. A personal thanks to my husband for his drawing of a bicycle contribution as he tested to make sure the board was working. On this Storm board, you can use the sticky notes to post ideas, vote on your favorite ideas, and comment on ideas. Send me a message on D2L if you have any questions about how to use it or about getting a free educational account for teachers. In conclusion, as we think about how we can apply this knowledge to automaticity, consider the plethora of Tier 3 RTII, response to instruction and intervention programs that have the sole purpose for using rereadings and decoding or phonics strategies to become more fluent and automatic. Within your classroom, you may use many opportunities to build fluency. In my own classroom, we use reader's theater, poetry, and song lyrics, which are greatly supported by Tim Rosinski. Consider interventions, classroom strategies, and instructional styles you have utilized that become influenced by the initial words of S.J. Samuels on automaticity and rereading.